What is up, you guys? It's your boy LA. Welcome to the 5th episode of the Liverpool U23 career mode. Today we're going to be getting into the Premier League season for the first time. Last episode we lost another piece of silverware in the last game, so today we're going to be making some more reinforcements before we go into our first Premier League game and try to make a run at winning the Premier League title. That being said, guys, before we get into all of the action, if you're enjoying the content that I'm making here on the channel, if you're enjoying the series, go ahead and drop a like on the video and subscribe if you want to see more. And you can also head over to my Twitch at twitch.tv/LA_15 to watch me stream mostly Ultimate Team. I stream every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and usually during the weekdays as well. So you can come by and check that out if you're interested. Hope to see you there. So getting straight into the action today, guys, we're going to be going after Jonathan Ikone as well as Justin Kluivert. We're going to be putting them on our scouting list to try to figure out what exactly their stats are and to see if they're going to be quality signings for the team. While we wait for the scout reports to come back, we're going to be getting into some games. This is going to be the lineup for our first Premier League game of the season against Newcastle. We've got David, Rodrigo, and Havertz as our front three, with the usual midfield of Jones, Alexander-Arnold, and Tonali, as well as the usual back five. So that being said, we're going to get straight into the gameplay here. It's got a pretty easy game coming up. It's not the best team in the Prem, and we can see that pretty early on in the game, we get a big chance with Jonathan David, who runs into the box and gets slide tackled by their left back. I guess losing Jamal Lewis really hurt them. Their new left back is not great. It was a terrible tackle, and now we have a penalty in the 27th minute. We're going to take this pen with Jonathan David, and we're going to use our favorite stream strategy of powering up to the left and going middle, and it doesn't work. But if you want to hear the story behind that strategy, make sure to stop by the stream and ask sometime. It always works in Ultimate Team. And they get a big chance there with a beautiful ball over the top, but it doesn't quite come off. And now towards the end of the second half, Alexander-Arnold tries his best in the dying minutes, but can't quite get the ball on target. Now moving into the second half, we have Havertz at the halfway line, passing into Alexander-Arnold, who gets back into Havertz, and Havertz just blasts through the defenders and then absolutely hammers the ball to the near post. Really simple, basic finish from the striker, but it's the kind of thing that you expect him to score. So, in our first Premier League game of the season, guys, we're going up 1-0 in the 50th minute. As you can see, Havertz with a great run into the box there, just burning all the defenders around him. Now, a little bit later in the second half, we decide to make some substitutions. We bring off Rodrigo for the young Harvey Elliott, and we bring on Ajera for Jones. Moving into the last couple minutes of the game, Grujic gets the ball in midfield with a beautiful lofted through ball over to David. David has the pace to beat the defenders. He gets in behind and a great side foot finish, curls it around the keeper into the side netting. Really beautiful finish from the young Cam playing out wide. Now in the very last minutes of the game, Havertz gets the ball at the halfway line. Tonali with a through ball into the 16-year-old Harvey Elliott. Elliott doesn't have great finishing, but he does manage to slot that one home, and the 16-year-old youth player does manage to get his first Premier League goal of the season. You really love to see it, and that is going to be all for this game. So we end up winning 3-0 against Norwich in our first home game of the Premier League season. A fairly simple victory. You love to see it. And just like that, we're going to move back into the transfer market. And I decided that I would like to get Justin Kluivert. After we got back the scout reports, I decided Kluivert was more of what I was looking for the team. And we end up striking a deal of about £16 million for him. And then we go in directly to negotiations and work out a deal where I'll be paying him around £38,000 a week, which is a pretty fair wage for someone who I expect to be one of our star players in the coming season. And now our new player, Justin Kluivert, will slot right into that right wing position. We'll be going into our next game, which is the UEFA Super Cup final against Chelsea. with the same starting 11 as our last Premier League game, except we'll be starting the young Justin Kluivert at right wing. Now, getting right into the action, I could immediately tell that this Chelsea team were playing at a just completely different pace of play than what we were capable of producing with our young players, and that resulted in a very, very early goal. Tovan gets through down the right-hand side, cuts it into Kovacic, who just very calmly and coolly slots that home. We go 1-0 down in the 10th minute. You hate to see it. It's a great, great goal from Chelsea, and unfortunately they were just playing up to a different standard. Now, just a few minutes later, in the 15th minute, a big defensive mistake from Jones leads to Pulisic getting in behind. The American winger scores a chip. I had to pull the keeper to try to get something out of that situation, but unfortunately nothing was happening. Now, going straight into nearing the end of the second half, Justin Kluivert picks up the ball off of a bad throw-in from Chelsea. Havertz waits for Kluivert to get into the box, and Kluivert, in his debut for the club, scores a goal across the goal, absolutely just hammers that straight into the far post, and scores his second goal for the club. Havertz there again, passing it into Kluivert, and as I said, just absolutely hammers that far post. Now, in the second half, we get the ball on the edge of the box, try to make something out of that situation, but we do end up winning a corner. Now, take it short, and then pass it to the edge of the box. Curtis Jones is there, he takes the shot, and unfortunately it goes over the crossbar. Now, moving into towards the end of the second half, we're still 2-1 down. Ovie Ejaria is making some magic happen on the end of the box with a beautiful scoop turn, hits the post, and so close to going in, but unfortunately we couldn't make it happen. We lose 2-1, and we lose out on our third piece of silverware. Hopefully by the end of the season we'll have figured out how to get that winning mentality in, and we'll be able to win the Premier League. Now, unfortunately, guys, my footage for what happened at the end of that game and towards the beginning of this second game against Southampton got corrupted. I lost a lot of footage from this episode, unfortunately, but as you can see, nothing happened whatsoever in the first half, so we cut straight to the second half, where Harry Wilson scores a great goal off of a skillful run, slots that into the far post, does a little dance. He's very happy to have scored. And I'm really sorry that we lost out on that footage, but now we're getting into our second Premier League game of the season, which is against Southampton. Good shot there from the striker, but Alex Merritt does well to save it. Next, they get a corner, which is taken well again and goes just over the crossbar. Thankfully, we get the ball back, but in a huge, huge mistake on my part, I send my team up and then pass the ball, handing them a goal, just absolutely gifting them a draw in the 71st minute. So I immediately pause. I compose myself because I was a little frustrated. And then I go in and I make a couple of substitutions. And now, unfortunately, guys, the rest of the game is also corrupted. I lost a lot of footage, but I can tell you guys that we end up scoring in the dying minutes of this game, and we end up winning this game 2-1. After that, I go into our next Premier League game of the season, which is against Arsenal, which, as you would expect, should be an easy dub against a mid-table team like Arsenal, but unfortunately, they grind out a 2-2 draw against us. So, at the end of our third Premier League game, we won in this episode against Norwich, we beat Southampton, and we drew against Arsenal, leaving us in third place at the end of the episode in the Premier League on 7 points. Hopefully, as we move forward, we can continue grinding out these results against the smaller teams and trying to get at least draws, if not victories, against the bigger teams. I'm really sorry that I lost out on that Arsenal game. It was a very entertaining one, but hopefully in the future I will be able to get a more quality setup for recording these episodes and making sure that you guys always get the content that you deserve. That being said, guys, if you did enjoy this somewhat broken episode, please go ahead and leave a like on the video, as well as subscribe if you want to see more content moving forward. Also, don't be afraid to go check out my Twitch if you want to see more Ultimate Team content. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next one.